Hi everyone, and welcome back to another session of Seller Speak. Today we have listing optimization on our minds. So, all of you sellers who have always wanted to stand out in their listings, this is a perfect video for you. Before I introduce my speaker, let's watch this quick intro. So, hi everyone, and welcome back to another session of Seller Speak. Today we have a very special speaker with us today. His name is Mac. I can try to pronounce his last name, but I have failed countless amount of times. So, hi Mac. Please help me out with your last name.
It's Schlesinger, Mac Schlesinger.
I'm not even going to try that. So, hi Mac. How are you doing?
It's a hard name, so don't bother.
All right. So go ahead.
No, I'm fine. So first of all, thank you for having me. It's my honor and pleasure for inviting me to your special show. I watched a few of the other episodes. It's very, very special. So I feel very honored to be on it. And
thank you.
Expertise with your audience.
We're happy to have you. So I was on LinkedIn and I was just scrolling through my Amazon pages and I saw your profile and I was so intrigued by your story. So I understand we don't have time to get in depth with it, but let me just give you guys a quick summary of what has happened in Mac's life. So he is the CEO and founder of Bestseller Listers. However, he started his journey buying off products from a mall and selling them online for a profit. And that's how you got in the world of e-commerce. That's how you understood that you can make a lot of profit on websites like Amazon, if I'm not wrong.
Right. I mean, it was a whole long story, which we don't have time to elaborate on that, but people can see it. Like I posted on LinkedIn. It's probably going to be like another podcast or someone else describing my story. But it's basically the idea is of just starting somewhere, even if you don't have any experience. So I started going to the local mall and buying stuff and try to sell them on eBay, and Amazon tried to make a profit. And from that, more doors opened up to me. So I started doing this, doing that. I tried everything that is related to Amazon until I got to a private label finally. So that's where everything got started.
Yep. So Mac here sold online for 8 years and more, and he is a 7-figure seller, which is really impressive. So I can just imagine you starting from a small mall and then becoming a 7-figure Amazon seller. And now you have your own company, and that has over 1,000 clients ranging from small side hustles to major brands. So congratulations on that. This is amazing.
Thank you.
All right, so before we get into our talks of listing optimization, just a caution for you guys out there. We get a lot of questions on why are you not able to see returns on your listing optimization. First, it takes time. So once you're done optimizing your listing, kindly wait for 25 days. I suggest 25 days. Mac, how many days do you suggest for people to wait to see returns?
Yeah, also around, I usually say a month. I mean, not particularly the days, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. So wait a month before you approach before you freak out, like, why am I not seeing results? Wait for a month. And if that doesn't work out, don't worry. This session will cover all the important things that you need to know if you're starting your listing optimization or if you're improving your listing optimization. So Mac, now that we're talking about the biggest mistakes that people have made, what, according to you and what, according to your expertise, have you seen sellers do wrong when it comes to listing optimization?
Yeah, so I mean, since I'm dealing with like hundreds of thousands of Amazon sellers every day, not every day, since I started, I got to see mostly all the mistakes people do, all the pros and cons and everything. I learned a lot from clients. But so regarding your questions about mistakes is a few things. First of all, about the keywords. A lot of sellers, I don't know, maybe they took it from the courses or whatever, they're very focused only on keywords. Like they totally forget about the human factor, the human on the listing. So they're so focused on keywords. So for example, when we create a listing for clients, they always come back about this keyword, that keyword. It's usually always in the listing, but it's not like everything in the title and the bullet points. So basically, the idea is that the listing has to be written 50% for the algorithm, 50% for the human customers, because after all, the people that are buying it are the human beings. It's not the algorithm. So we have to make sure really to talk like a human, and describe your features and benefits as much as you do with the keywords. And another thing is, let me see what else. So, and another thing is also, which is very important, is people try to look very professional on Amazon. Like they're trying to write a listing with high vocabulary English and this and that. But the problem is, it doesn't work. I mean, it does work for different, like for magazines, for books and stuff like that. But the Amazon listing is like your salesman. And you don't like when a salesman comes into you and you're in office and starts speaking like the high vocabulary English that you don't understand a word. You want them to talk like your language, like a human, like this. So that's why it's recommended to write a listing like more like a salesy approach, like really sell the product versus writing like too professional. And another thing is what else? Is also I'm focusing a lot on competition. I get a lot of time with clients that they're always focused on the competitors. They send me like 10 or 20 links to competitors. This competition has this competition has that. I want to have this, I want to have that. I want to have everything the competition has, but forget about yourself. Instead, they should focus on it's your product. Try to pretend that you are the only one here, and you try to do the best that you can do on your product. Obviously, you can check on the competitor to make sure that you can take ideas here and there, but don't be so focused on the competition. I mean, that's actually a good lesson for any business, not only for Amazon. Don't focus on competition.
Yes.
Try to be your best you can be. And another thing is regarding mistakes that seller makes is also like settling for cheap content and photos and stuff like that. But the problem is that a lot of sellers usually spend a lot of time and money developing their products, like in China or whatever. And when it comes to finally everything is done, the product is finally here, and now is the real time to sell the product and start making money. They're totally like a slow down on that. Like they try to make the content themselves. I mean, it's fine if you can do it, then do it, but make sure to do it the right way, and don't try to cheap out on it, like in the photos, because this is actually the most important thing. Developing your product is one thing, and this is done already. Now it's time to sell the product, and in order to really sell the product, you really have to spend money to make money.
Yes, that was very well said. So starting with keywords, as you mentioned, keyword stuffing is something that I've seen a lot of sellers do as well, and I would suggest them not to, because it's true when what Max said, it's 50% for the algorithm and 50% for the customers that you're looking for. Thank you so much for that information, Mac. So moving on to the next questions, what are some key metrics that one should keep in mind when they're optimizing listings?
So there's a few things. One is like it's basically to think like a customer. So basically, sometimes the seller gets so into it. There's a word for it. I forgot the word. It's like they get so into the product that they totally forget about the customer. So the customer basically, you have to think like your customer. What do you want to see in the listing and on the images that will convince you to buy the product? So that's what you should focus on. Maybe ask like your friends or colleagues or family members and get some ideas, because your mind is too much in the product. So that's one thing. And also something that is important, which is the features and the benefits. Sometimes when a seller is developing the product in China, they usually give like instructions to the manufacturer. I want it to be like this. I want it to be like that. This should be my main selling point. This should be my differentiator. So sometimes I see clients that sometimes when it comes to creating the listing, they forget about all this information. I mean, not always, but sometimes here and there. So I have to make sure that to really remember all of those main selling points, and don't look at your competitors. Look at what you had in mind when you developed the product, and make sure those features and benefits are really pointed out.
Yes, and I completely agree with that. Having a second set of eyes on your account or your product listing is always a good idea. And one more tip I would like to add here is order your own product once every 5 to 6 months. Because in our last session with Norman Farrar, Norman mentioned that he got this beard oil, and because it was sitting on because it was sitting in Amazon warehouses for so long, they didn't really focus on the condition conditions that the beard oil is going to be facing in the warehouses, and when the product reached Norman, it was stinking because it has spoiled. So yes, keep a second set of eyes on your product. Do not get too attached to your product, because that happens. That way you don't see what's wrong with your product.
Right.
So keep a second set of eye for your listings, and make sure that you order your product once every 5 months.
Oh, that's very
So
good.
yeah. Yep. Moving on to the next question. So this question has been asked to us very frequently. We already decided and we already told you guys that you should not be changing your listings frequently. But how often should one be changing their listings then?
Right. So as you said, so it's not recommended by Amazon to keep on changing your listing, like the images and this, because every time you change something, like the image or the title or the keywords and stuff like that, the listing sort of, I don't know how to explain, but it goes out of the algorithm. Like the algorithm puts it out, and it takes some time till the algorithm gets to all those new information that you just uploaded. And so in those few days, a few times, you might lose your ranking and sales momentum. So it's not good to change anything in the listing. So it's always recommended to do it right the first time. But obviously, let's say if you already have the listing, the damage is already done. What you should do now is actually now you don't have a choice. You still have to make sure that it makes it better, and basically sacrifice and settle for those few days that it goes out of the algorithm, and then start over, and with a much stronger than before. And it's basically So once it's already done, take your time, go over everything from title, bullet point, description, content, images, keywords, and everything, and then go through one by one and fix everything at once. And don't do like a here and there. Just make sure everything is fixed at once, so you don't have to fix it again, like update again.
Yeah, so when I was starting my wondrous world of Amazon learning, and I was trying to figure out how listing optimization worked, my supervisor told me that think of it as a library. Right? So you have a book in the library, and you know that the book is under section A, subsection B, or something like that. When you change your listing optimization, you are changing where the book is kept in a library. So when a customer comes, he might not be able to find your book under section A, subsection B. So yes, it does take time for your Amazon algorithm to understand that, yes, this is a library and where you want your book to be now. So I hope I did a good job explaining how listing optimization works. Yeah.
I have to start using this for clients. Is there a gift?
Oh yeah, you can. It's my gift to you. You can use it.
Thank you.
So yes, how often should you be changing your listing optimization? Well, as Max said, once the damage is done, it's done. But make sure when you're optimizing your listing, do it in one go. Do not keep changing it again and again. And how should one improve their listing when they're trying to change the listing, let's say the second time?
Yeah, so it's the same thing. It's basically go through from A through Z, starting from the title, from the content, go through the title, the bullet points, the description, the keywords, the backend fields, and make sure that everything is fully filled out, all the features are properly explained, all the benefits are properly exposed, and then go through the images and make sure that the images are really the best that it can be. Basically, the idea is to showcase the customer, to give them the confidence that this is the product they're looking for. And make sure that this is and if you can't do it yourself, then don't be afraid to outsource it, to ask someone to do it for you, and make sure that you are the best. And once everything is done, just upload everything at once. As I said earlier, like don't do a little bit here and a little bit there.
Yep. So for your images, we get a lot of questions for images as well. We have a very special session coming in next week with Paul Barron, and he will be talking about how you can use nano influencers for your business and how you can get your product pictures for half a price plus with almost free advertising for your business. So do keep an eye out for the session, and it will help you brand your products for cheaper and to get pictures for your products for cheaper. All right, so now we're coming to a section that is so talked about. It's the keywords. So yes, keywords are needed for PPC. Keywords are needed for your listing optimization. Keywords are perhaps the most important part of your Amazon listing. So again, 50 and 50% as Max said. So what are the importance of keywords while listing? What exactly do they do?
Yeah, so basically, obviously keywords is a very big part of the listing. algorithm, on how to make the keywords, so it's not like a simple one-line answer. It's a combination. So it's a few things. So first of all, the first thing is basically to take advantage of all those great programs out there, softwares there's out there, and don't rely only on one of them because they're not always accurate. So the best
Yes.
is to do is to make a combination of the top 3 or 4 keyword tools that you know about, and download the files, look through all those the high volume keywords, and take out the irrelevant keywords. There's always like the mix and irrelevant keywords, so you have to make sure to take those out, whatever. So basically, once you go through the whole file from the combination of all 3 or 4 keyword tools, then you can take out the best keywords and basically blend them into throughout the whole listing, title, bullet points, keywords, and obviously then for the advertising, the PPC.
Yep, so I like how you use finding the best keywords for your listing, but how does one find those best keywords?
Yeah, so first of all, when it comes to keywords, it's sometimes it's very obvious, especially if you know your product. If you spend time researching the product and developing the product and by your manufacturer, you should get to know your word and the words that people are using from doing your research on the competition and stuff. But there are a few ways. So obviously, first of all, the Amazon search bar is a very good tool, which you start typing the keyword and you get a lot of phrases related, and also from all those keyword tools, obviously. And also one thing which is very important is also like thinking like a human, is think about yourself, how you will search the product if you want to buy the product. So sometimes you get so into the product that you forget all those details, but think yourself, imagine yourself as a customer. If you want to buy the product, you open up Amazon.com, which words will you put in there? So those words you have to make sure to include in your listing, and ask the same thing about your colleagues or your friends or family, which words they will use to find this product. So from that alone, you get like real human feedback.
Touch to your listing. Yes, that's so important. And go check out our Seller App's free keyword research tool if you haven't already. It's free, and it will help you get your keywords fastly and accurately. It will be linked in the description below, or do check it out on the screen anywhere. So now that we've spoken about keywords, what are backend keywords and how do you select them?
Oh, so the backend keywords is also, I think it's also a mistake that sellers make. They focus a lot on this backend keywords. It's so important, this and that. But the fact is that the backend keywords is just like the extra, it's basically after you finish the whole listing, like the front end, the title, bullet, and description, which is the most important. All of the leftovers should go in the back end. So basically, there's a reason why it's in the back end, is because it's not what customers are seeing. It's only for the algorithm. So it's a very good place to put keywords that you can't really put in the front end, which is like misspellings and let's say Spanish words, like other language that people are using it, and also what else? This is
cross-selling.
Yeah, cross-selling. Yeah, so cross-selling is also very important, which is like for example, if you're selling, let's say a spoon, right? Like a pack of spoons, you should make sure to put like knives and forks in the search terms, because it's like one family. People that are searching for that are usually also searching for that. So it's a good way to cross-sell your product. But obviously, you have to make sure that it's not really totally irrelevant, because then your listing is just going to show up for the wrong keywords. But to make sure that, most products have like their own families. It's like a grocery store. When you go into a grocery store, they usually put like all those similar products together, because once you need this, you need that as well. So it's a good cross-selling.
Yes, that's very important, because now that we have Amazon Q4 coming up, the holiday season, people are going to be looking for gifts. So I think this is really interesting time for you to, cross-sell your products in terms of gifts. So I would like to talk about Amazon posts here. So many people don't even think that your product can be used as a gift. So try using this new feature called Amazon Posts. We did a video on it a week back. I will link it down in the below. It will help you. It's like free advertising for your brand, and you can also be seen on your competitors' listing for free, which is amazing. So if you want to see if your product can be sold as a gift, try cross-selling or try using Amazon posts, because then people will look at your product and they'll go like, oh, I can use this as a gift. Who would like this? Try putting that idea into people's heads, especially this holiday season. Thanksgiving is coming, Cyber Monday is coming, Black Friday is coming, and they're all in, like one day after the other. So yeah, I mean, gear up, guys. This is the best time for you to start, like, getting your products off the shelves. Well, I can't say shelves anymore, getting off the warehouses. So
Nice.
amazing. So now we're coming to the section where we talk about advanced questions. So if you're just a beginner, go check out our other videos on listing optimization, which is specifically made for beginners. But from here on, the questions will be for advanced sellers. So do you suggest people have or sellers have two different listings for FBM and FBA, or just one listing will do great for FBM and FBA?
Oh, that's an interesting question. If the FBA and FBM, I mean, I don't know. As far as the only benefit that I know is basically the idea is that, I mean, obviously the FBA is important, is the most important, but why you should have an FBM as well, I think it's basically in case you run out of stock in FBA, sometimes
Yep.
it wasn't fast enough to catch up to ship new inventory. So at least your listing is always live. It never gets out of stock. As you know, the consequences of running out of stock in Amazon listing is not good. So having like an FBM listing on top of the FBA, it can help with that. And also I think that it's, especially now these days when FBA is so overwhelmed, they try to prevent like people, sellers from sending in new stuff. I think that they're giving better positions for listings that have both, like FBA and FBM, so they still stay on the platform and they don't rely.
Yep. So I think it's also important to have your listings in FBA and FBM, and especially if you're selling like big gift baskets, I suggest that you use FBM currently because inventory is now limited. So if you have a smaller product, yes, you will get inventory placed in Amazon warehouses. But if you're selling bigger products, do not risk it, because Amazon might just in the end moment be like, oh, we don't have space, try using some other courier services, and then it'll be too late for you to get any external warehouses or to figure out the FBM route. So start thinking about that right now. So let's talk about images now, because images, as we've discussed, are very important. There are images and there are product videos, which we will talk about a little bit later. So when people are selecting their image and image description, do they want to include some keywords there as well? Does it work well with the backend keywords there?
You mean the description by the name of the image file?
Yes, the image file name.
So this is an interesting conversation because I think it's debatable. I think nobody really knows because Amazon never really said that it's indexing, but I think it can help with Google at least because if you have the product with the name, sometimes when you search on the product, the name, you go on Google Images, sometimes they give you give you results from Amazon because the image has that name. But on Amazon itself, I'm not sure. I mean, it was never proven or tested and proven that it doesn't make any difference. But when it comes to naming the images, I think it's more relevant in the EBC, in the A+ content description. Usually when you upload the A+, there's a combination of a few images and text and everything. So over there, Amazon is asking you to put in like the keywords for the images. And I think it's mainly important for customers with visual impairments, which is basically they can see this. So Amazon has there are applications for them, like programs that they use that they can read through hearing, so listening. So part of the program is basically when I click on the image, I think the program is telling them the name of the image. So it's a good idea to put in the images like what the image is. For example, if you're selling like a coffee cup and you have like a lifestyle image of someone holding the cup, it's important. It's not like important to put a keyword like a coffee cup. It's more like saying that model is holding cup in hands, something like that. So the visual impairment people said so they can see, they can know exactly what the image is for. And that's one thing. And then I think in general, like when Amazon sees that you really put in all the work in the listing, like all the names of the images and everything, I think they give you more better position because they see that you are compliant, and those are the sellers that they want to have on the platform. So they will try to help you.
So I think the point that you mentioned for visually impaired sellers or buyers, I think this is such an interesting point because I personally have not heard people, making sure that their listing is compliant with the people who are visually impaired. And I think when sellers are not using such techniques, they're missing out on such a huge demographic of people who are actually buying on Amazon, listening to the pictures or the listing, which is a great advice. So yeah, I'm just thinking about it and it struck me. So I will right now go work on it after this talk. So yeah, thank you. And do you want to add anything else for your A+ content?
A+ content? No, it's basically also, basically to take advantage of this big space that Amazon is giving you to really showcase your product, because the images on the top images, your small images, you can put a lot of stuff there, but the A+ content is so big, so visually, so it's very good, and it's very important to take advantage of that and really showcase your product with the best features and lifestyle, and sell your product better.
Yep, and now that we're going to talk about product videos, let me just tell you people that product videos can get a little bit complicated. So do read all the guidelines provided by Amazon, because we have a lot of sellers who are facing problems with the frame rate per second on their videos. The Amazon is not accepting their frame rate, video is not compliant. So do read the guidelines if you don't want to face any problems, because you will be, if you're outsourcing your product videos, it can get expensive to have a reshoot. So make sure that you read the guidelines before you shoot your video. So over to you, Mac. How do you optimize your product images and videos on Amazon?
Yeah, so the images, the images is basically you have to take advantage of the space that Amazon is giving you. So at least max it out at least 7 images, like one main image and at least 6 graphic images. So you have a lot of space to really showcase your product. So usually I recommend to do like a combination of infographics and lifestyle. So the infographics is very important because especially for people that buy through visual and this, they don't have time or patience to read through the whole title and bullet points and descriptions. Especially like me, I hate to read that. I like to write, but I hate to read. So I don't know. Interesting. So usually I buy through visual. So if I see like the image really explains the product, like it tells me everything, like all the features. So that's why it's important. So let's say you take three infographics. One should be like overall of all the general features. One should be more like about the technical features, which is like the dimensions, the weight, and the material, and stuff like that. And then it's also important to put, especially for complicated products, is basically showcase like zoomed in parts of the product to basically, so a customer should be able to see the product in real life and like feel like they're walking in the store and they touch the product. And then the next one is also the same reason is for a customer to feel like they're holding the product, is the lifestyle images. So it's basically make a combination of a few lifestyle, like show different genders that it's made for, show different occasions, either outdoor or indoor, and stuff like that. Basically, like a nice combination of everything, so a customer can make the decision to buy your product only from the pictures itself.
Yes, very important. Do you have anything more to add?
And regarding videos, so videos, I'm not so because I'm not a video but the same thing. I mean, we did actually discuss it before on a different podcast if video is important or not. Yeah. So obviously, video is always important, but it really depends on the product. Some products, it's not really important to spend a lot of money and time on creating videos because it's very simple. I had an example over there. I don't have it here. It's basically like a small cup. I mean, it's good to have a video just to be different and show for your competitors that you're here, you're stronger than them. But regarding the customer, it's not gonna make sell the product. It's just a cup showing like someone's drinking from the cup. It's not gonna do this. But it's mainly important for a more complicated product that people have to see like all the features, all the different angles, different sides, how it's being used. Like if it has like buttons or screens, stuff like that, which is very important to have a video and showcase all the how to use it.
Yeah, so when I'm shopping on Amazon, it's always a plus point for me if your product has a video instruction attached to the listing. So
Uh-huh.
yes, that makes my job easier. So I know that, once I get the product, I have something to look back on because instructions usually are like 5 to 6 pages long. They're so huge. And I'm like, why am I going to read such big instructions? And then I spend hours and hours on trying to like figure out how the product works. So if you have one video on your listings and people like me and Mac can go look at it after they purchase the product, perfect,
Yeah.
sold. So that's what I use. So
Yeah.
Mac here has been selling on Amazon for more than 8 years, and I think since he's a seven-figure seller, I want to understand if you have any advice or if you have any do's and don'ts, tips and tricks for our listeners who are watching right now.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'm not so bragging about a seven-figure seller because this is what I did in the past. I mean, in the past, I used to sell. I used to work for big companies that I grew to a big number. But it's mainly like the business that I'm now, which is a marketing business, like dealing with so many Amazon sellers every day and creating like thousands of listings and images and stuff. So this is where I like to give my advice from. So I don't know, just general advice, business advice, which is important for everyone, Amazon sellers and any business owner, which is obviously like to think big. Always think big and don't worry and don't think about your downs and fares. Because I mean, after all, as an Amazon seller, you have like tons of competitors, and especially in most categories, there are big companies out there, like big brands that are trying to crush you, and they have like a big team, they have everything, and they are the ones that think big and they don't have any doubts, any fears, so they do whatever it takes. So if you want to compete with them, you have to have the same mindset. And another advice I'll give is basically is not to be stingy when it comes to marketing. I mean, I don't mean stingy. I mean like trying to save and this, because the problem is that sellers spend so much time and money developing the products, creating the product and whatever, the manufacturing stuff. Now, when it comes to the real important part, which is selling, they start to cheap down. Like they try to do everything themselves, and they obviously it's mediocre. It's not the best. Instead, this is the real important part, where you should really spend the money in marketing, like try to make your product really sell. And so that's another thing. And another thing is, so this is especially for new sellers, which is important, is that it's important for them to know, I mean, it's good for all sellers as well, that Amazon is not as it used to be. For example, when I started like 8 years ago, back then, I mean, you basically had a product idea, you just listed with a regular standard mediocre listing content, and it sold. Like the next day, it started selling right away. But these days, Amazon is so different. I mean, it's so much more competitive. There's a lot of competition and big competition, like big companies that have like big budgets and big themes. So so it's harder to compete with them. So these days, you really have to treat an Amazon business like any other business. Like you open a restaurant, or you open like or whatever, like a big company, you really have to treat an Amazon business like that, and you shouldn't treat it like just a side hustle, just to hope that you're gonna list the product and it's gonna start selling right away because your friend that did it a few years ago got rich from it. It doesn't mean that it's gonna work for you the same way. So basically, you really have to treat it like a real business. Spend the money that is required to spend. As they know, you have to spend money to make money. And be fully in. Don't just work like an hour a day or 2 hours a day because this is what you used to. You really have to be fully in to really compete with all this.
So thank you so much for making sure that our listeners are all set up with their listing and making sure that our listeners are now equipped with the knowledge that they need to optimize the listing. So thank you for coming to the session.
Yeah, so no problem. Thank you for having me. It was a real pleasure. It was a lot of fun. And I hope, your audience will really benefit from it.
Thank you. And if you like this video, make sure to like that like button and to hit the subscribe button as well and join our wondrous family of Seller app. And I will see you all next week. So bye-bye.